Hi everyone and welcome to the All Things ITSM Global Podcast. We're coming to you from Service Management 2015 in Sydney. I'm Kirsty McGowan. I'm here with my co-host Suresh GP.
Hi everybody.
Ivor McFarlane.
Hello there.
And we're talking with Claire Brereton today. Hi Claire.
Hello there.
There you are.
Right. Well, Claire, you're very much involved in standards and applications of them, and you've been looking at the situation and the possibilities of applying standards to smaller organisations, and perhaps you could tell us what the thinking is on that at the moment.
Certainly I could do. What seems to have happened in the standards community, as in any community which has got lots of intelligent people with opinions, is there's been robust debate. And the debate is really all about whether you can take a standard, particularly a management system standard like ISO 20000, and apply it irrespective of size, or whether you need to do something different for small companies.
Right.
So a few years ago, a group was set up with a target audience of very small entities. And a very small entity is a company with 25 people or less.
Right.
So if it's successful, it probably won't stay as a very small entity for very long, because that's what happens. So the whole objective of this group was to target very small entities and help them to grow into not so small entities. The thinking was very much around the software development space, and what happened was a group of Mexicans, first of all, got together and they decided, along with some government support, that they wanted to challenge the oxymoron that was a quality Mexican software development. Okay. And they decided that they wanted to produce a methodology that you could use for very small organisations which would just do some basic things, and whilst we're all service managers, we understand enough about the development process to know that you need requirements and you design and so on, whether you do agile or whether you do more traditional sort of development. So they put together a series of guidelines taken from the bigger company software development standard, made them a bit lighter, and what happened once those started to get some traction is that a number of other countries came on board, and it became an international group. And so now the people involved in that movement are from South America, Mexico, Brazil, Peru, and so on. Also Thailand, and some of the a lot of countries who are looking to get a smarter economy.
Right.
So that's been going for a few years. Now, they approached the 20,000 group to say that what they really now wanted to do was put on a service management component, because at the moment their standard stops at delivery. Now, we all know that any product requires some kind of service management to support it, either if you're just selling a deliverable, or if you're running your products now as potentially a pay subscription cloud type service, which is a logical development. They also recognise that there are many, many small service management companies who don't do development, but they maybe supply hardware and office and so on to local customers, and they also have got no real standards, and as a consumer it's really hard to tell who might be a good supplier and who might not be.
Right.
So
how has been the adoption generally in ISO 20000? And the reason I'm asking is with 2011 it has actually opened up for non-IT sectors. It could be any service, right? You don't need to be talking about any IT-enabled services can go for ISO 20000 certification. Now, with that in mind, how is the adoption primarily as you've seen in these markets of Australia, New Zealand, and probably worldwide? How do you see people adopting? Could be small, could be large enterprises. How do you see the adoption rate for getting themselves certified on ISO 20000?
I think that's a great question, and it's as you know, 20,000, the only IT in 20,000 is in the title, but it still is primarily perceived as an IT thing.
Exactly.
And other industries, I think, are potentially struggling with why they would do that, and they have slightly different language,
right.
And they also have other cultural aspects that they're looking to conform to and align to. So in practice, I think it would take quite a while before it expands out of the IT space.
Right.
In 20,000, as you know, in India, there are an awful lot of 20,000 certified companies, but they're pretty much all IT, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And just a bit of question, curiously, because you've been on the board for about 6-7 years, and when you step down, I mean, how has been the whole journey across? Because I think, for particularly at least from countries like India, where we are aspiring to embrace some of these best practice principles from Australia and New Zealand and UK. I mean, how has been the journey in terms of being on a board, and how do you see the Australian conferences shaping up? What's your viewpoint on that?
Well, I've been on the board for 7 or 8 years, I think, and it's I was encouraged to come onto the board by Gary Long, who's a long-standing colleague, because he was concerned about the board not being representative enough of the whole of Australia.
Right.
So you're all from Sydney and Melbourne at the time, and just as in, I'm sure India would have the same pockets of activity, and we wanted to be an inclusive organisation. So I came in as a Queenslander, because I'm based in Brisbane, and I had no idea really what I was doing when I came onto the board, and so it was a real learning and growth experience for me. And 7 or 8 years on, I kind of reluctantly decided it was time to step down. One of the challenges of organisations, not-for-profits like ITSMF chapters, is that people, I think, can sometimes hang on, past their sell-by date, and I didn't want to be I didn't want to be in that situation. So I've been on a few boards. I've been on the board of a youth charity, and I've been on ITSMF, and I'm currently sitting on the board of a school up in Queensland and so on. So it's just it's helped me so much in my understanding of how to operate on a board. It's been great.
I think it's an interesting point you make. One of the reasons I think the Australian ITSMF has been successful compared to others around the world, and I've been watching them for about 217 years is
their dreams?
You do see a slightly larger churn here than in others. There are some that it's a different person every time, and there are other chapters where it's the same people forever. And it always seemed to me that Australia more or less got the balance right, and New Zealand the same, in fact. You do see people, you get to know them, and then they not only move off the board, but they still hang around the conference. Yeah. And that, I think, is a really powerful support to a chapter, that you don't lose that experience altogether. People have done their time on the board, but are still sort of involved in active and lower level volunteers. And it seemed to me Australia have done quite a good job of that.
Well, it's like a family, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I came here from the UK in 2001, and ITSMF has been my career family here. Yes. And so I think I would find it very hard to just cease involvement, so maybe it's like the journey from motherhood to being a grandparent. and so I would certainly always want to come and meet people every year at the conference and be part of it, and contribute in whatever way. And I'm still involved in Queensland. We have a thing called the Council of ICT Associations, which essentially interacts with government there and makes sure that the industry is represented. And I'm still serving as ITSMF rep in that particular sphere, along with people from the Australian Computer Society and those sorts of organisations. So
because I think when ITSMF first started, there wasn't really a lot of competition in that space, but now there are an awful lot of organisations who are playing in the same sandpit really, and being able to offer some real value for membership has been a challenge.
It's an interesting issue around the world. I mean, and you can say the same thing about ITIL. It was the only game in town for a while, and then that generated. And I was at the launch events for itSMF in Australia in 1997, and it was very much a brand new idea. People were coming in. There was no what is this instead of. It was about what is that. But it's interesting to see some chapters, and Australia's one, that have worked with their not competitors but other areas, and you say you happily sit on the board alongside Australian Computer Society and others.
Absolutely, yes, and people like the Australian Institute of Company Directors. I think we need more links with generic associations. Just if I'll segue into some of the director type conversations. Every country has got a dearth of non-executive directors who know about IT. And if you really look at the skills that a digital director needs, and I'm promoting that term, then most of them are actually service management skills. They just don't know that
that's
yet.
what it is.
That's what it is. It's all about relating to the business. It's governance. It's how to deliver a service and how to enable your business through ICT, and that is our core. That's what we're about. So I think we need some more links into the governance and director community, and I'm going to be wanting to promote those as I move out of this board role and probably into a more active role with the Australian Institute of Company Directors as well.
Great. Well, thank you very much for your time this morning, Claire. It's been great talking to you. I've learned a lot more about the way the standards are coming together too, and it's been very interesting to hear your experience with itSMF Australia.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing with us today.
It's a great pleasure. Thank you.